This is becoming a trend brought to you by masked secret police who by any metric should have known this would have been the outcome. It's dangerous. So this should be your, yeah, no shit moment of the day. I saved this for last. We have long been alarmed by the sites, by the images, by the videos of masked secret police in the streets of the United States, kidnapping community members, kidnapping immigrants, kidnapping individuals off the streets, taking hostage American citizens, detaining them with no due process for weeks at a time sometimes. All done while anonymous, all done while not declaring themselves to be police or federal agents. Their faces are covered. They look like gang members, like Sinaloa cartel members. And there's no way to tell that they're not. And now, finally, after everybody was saying, hey, this is a problem, we can't have this. Now, the FBI is apparently in a minor spat with ICE saying, hey, you guys need to identify yourselves. You shouldn't be wearing masks because crimes are now being committed by criminals who are imitating ICE, who are mimicking ICE, who are dressing like ICE in the commission of their crimes. Get a load of this headline from Wired. FBI warns of criminals posing as ICE, urges agents to ID themselves. In a bulletin to law enforcement agencies, the FBI said criminal impersonators are exploiting ICE's image and urged nationwide coordination to distinguish real operations from fakes. Do you think? Don't you think that it was self-evident that this would be a problem that we faced? The problem lies in the fact that they don't care. ICE doesn't care if crimes are committed in their names because they themselves are committing crimes on a daily basis. Criminals posing as U.S. immigration officers have carried out robberies, kidnappings, and sexual assaults in several states, warns a law enforcement bulletin issued last month by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The Bureau urges agencies to ensure officers clearly identify themselves and to cooperate when civilians ask to verify an officer's identity, including by allowing calls to a local police precinct. Quote, ensure law enforcement personnel adequately... spelled it wrong, sick, identify themselves during operations and cooperate with individuals who request further verification, it says. First, reported by Wired, the bulletin cites 5 2025 incidents involving fake immigration officers and says criminals are using Immigrations and Customs Enforcement's heightened profile to target vulnerable communities, making it harder for Americans to distinguish between lawful officers and impostors while eroding trust in law enforcement. A review of public reporting confirms 4 of 5 cases described in the bulletin. One appears to have gone unreported, suggesting the FBI drew in part on internal law enforcement information. The document was first obtained by the transparency nonprofit Property of the People. Now, let me say this. We're not talking about an isolated incident, singular. We're talking about, as they just described, criminals posing as U.S. immigration officers have carried out robberies, kidnappings, and sexual assaults, plural, in several states. This is becoming a trend brought to you by masked secret police who by any metric should have known this would have been the outcome. It's dangerous. We are being put in danger by the cops who set themselves apart from us with their authority, and they tell us they keep us safe. Good to know. On August 7th, according to the FBI, 3 men in black vests entered a New York restaurant claiming to be ICE agents. Inside, they tied a worker's hands and pulled a garbage bag over the person's head. Another, believing the burglar's story, surrendered themselves only to be kicked to the ground and tied up as the intruders robbed an ATM. The Bureau's advisory urges agencies at every level of government to coordinate, quote, to verify legitimate versus non-legitimate operations attributed to ICE, a call that frames the wave of impersonations as a national law enforcement concern. Again, do you fucking think? Of course! The FBI declined to comment because it's led by cowards like Kash Patel. That was my addition. Its national press office said that it could only respond to media inquiries involving national security, violations of federal law, or essential public safety functions during the government shutdown. Again, cowardice. Cases cited by its advisory span kidnapping, street crime, and sexual violence. In Bay County, Florida, the advisory says a woman unzipped her jacket and revealed a shirt that said ICE and told her ex-boyfriend's wife that she was there to pick her up before driving her to an apartment complex. The woman later escaped. In Brooklyn, it alleges, a man told a woman he was an immigration officer and, quote, directed her to a nearby stairwell where he punched her, tried to rape her, and stole her phone before police caught him. In Raleigh, North Carolina, this just goes on and on and on and on. It's all over the country. In Raleigh, North Carolina, it claims a man, quote, entered a motel room and threatened to deport the woman if she did not have sex with him, telling her he was a sworn officer. Well, that doesn't seem out of the behavior of ICE officers themselves, but this apparently wasn't them. He showed her a business card with a badge, police said. The FBI describes a few signs of impersonations, forged or mismatched credentials, outdated protective gear, and cloned vehicle markings. It's urging agencies to launch outreach programs aimed at identifying fake ICE agents, a step the FBI argues could counteract the mistrust caused by impersonators and strengthen law enforcement's image. And then they went to comment. They went to get a comment from ICE. And this is the most ridiculous response that they could have given. I don't know what rube, what moron, what uneducated dolt they went to, but this is a person who has no business communicating for the agency at all. A senior ICE official tells Wired, quote, anyone caught impersonating themselves as a federal immigration agent will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Impersonating a federal immigration officer endangers public safety and erodes trust in law enforcement. Again, do you think? But what is this? Anyone caught impersonating themselves? Really? Anyone caught impersonating themselves as a federal enforcement officer? Moron? Why is this person nameless? We need to know what kind of idiots are running the government and in the highest levels of law enforcement. Federal rules, this is for your edification, federal rules require immigration officers to identify themselves and state the reason for an arrest, quote, as soon as it is practical and safe to do so. It is almost always practical and safe to do so while effectuating the arrest. But they are cowards. They fear for their lives as they keep the streets safe, as they make the streets more dangerous, while crying about, I just want to get back home to my wife and kids. I'm just following orders, said every Nazi ever. The recent increased presence of armed, masked federal officers completely disrupts and erodes public trust in law enforcement, says Alicia Castillo of the Texas Civil Rights Project. Quote, when masked federal agents conceal their identity and authority as a practice, anyone can don a mask and a gun and not be expected or required to verify their authority. Again, do you think? Of course, that's the natural outcome. People who seek to be predators, people who set their skills to predation, they are going to take advantage of this. People who are going to con are going to use loopholes in the system to do better cons. I'm going to repeat that sentence one more time. When masked federal agents conceal their identities and authority as a practice, anyone can don a mask and a gun and not be expected to required to verify their authority. Again, I don't want to say it a million times in a video, but do you think? Do you think? Do you think? Of course. Now, we'll see what comes of this. The battle between the fascist organizations of the United States government, Kash Patel versus ICE, we'll see. My guess would be they're going to continue running their masked secret police operation. And Kash Patel will just have to pound sand. What do you think? I welcome you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below the video. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. I sure do love and appreciate you. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for your engagement with my content. Please make sure you're subscribed. I had a goal of trying to get to 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube by the end of the year. I think that's unlikely. I like to deal with reality on reality's terms. But if you're not subscribed, please do. It is free to do so, and it absolutely helps independent media and me in particular. I will see you next time. Until then, be genuine and take care of one another.